The visitor. It started with footsteps, soft, slow, careful, like someone afraid to wake the house. Every night at 2:17 a.m., Mark would jolt awake. The old stairs groaned, one step at a time, until the sound stopped outside his daughter's room. Then came the whispering. Too faint to make out words, but enough to chill the air. The first night he thought it was a dream, the second a coincidence. By the third, he was standing in the hallway, holding a baseball bat, staring at his daughter's door. The whispers stopped the moment he got close. He swung the door open. Nothing. The room was empty, except for the soft hum of the nightlight and little Emma sleeping soundly, her small hand clutching her teddy bear. Mark's breath caught. The house seemed to be watching him, the shadows longer than they should be, the silence too sharp. In the morning he asked his daughter, "Sweetheart, did you hear anyone come into your room last night?" Emma shook her head, her curls bouncing. "No, Daddy, but the man with the hat says I shouldn't tell." Mark froze. "What man?" She smiled, innocent. "The one who visits when you're asleep. He says he misses his little girl." He tried to laugh it off, but something in his stomach turned cold. His wife, gone 3 years now, used to say he worried too much. But this wasn't worry. This was instinct. That night he set up traps. Flour on the hallway floor. A small bell tied to Emma's doorknob. His phone recording video from the corner of the hall. He waited in the living room, lights off, heart pounding like a drum. Hours passed. 2:17. The first creak came, the second step from the bottom. Then another, then another. The bell jingled softly. Mark leaped up, racing to the hall. The phone caught the faint glow of something moving, a shape dark and tall. The whispering returned, layered and low, like many voices murmuring all at once. He burst into Emma's room. The whispering stopped. She was awake now, sitting up. "Daddy," she said, "you scared him away." Mark's hands trembled. Who? The visitor. He barely slept. The next day he checked the recording. His heart slowed, then stopped because there was something there. A shadow moved along the wall, taller than a man, thinner than a shadow should be. It stopped outside Emma's door. The image warped, the pixels flickering. For a split second, the camera caught a pale face turning toward it, then static. When the screen cleared, the hallway was empty. Mark stared for hours, replaying it over and over until his eyes burned. He called a priest, then a doctor, then his sister. The priest told him it was grief. The doctor said it was stress. His sister told him to rest. No one believed him. That night he sat in his daughter's room, holding her hand as she slept. He promised himself he wouldn't blink, wouldn't close his eyes, but exhaustion won. When he woke, the sun was rising, and Emma was gone. The sheets were cold. The window was open. The bell lay silent on the floor. He ran outside barefoot, calling her name until his throat gave out. The police came. They searched the woods, the house, the lake. No trace. The only evidence was the video from his phone, which showed him sitting in the chair all night, never moving, never waking. 3 months later, Mark still lived in the house, alone. He told the detectives the truth, but they only pitied him. They said there were no footprints, no signs of forced entry, no visitor. He wandered the halls now, whispering to himself, hearing echoes of laughter that didn't exist. The house creaked every night at 2:17. Sometimes he swore he could hear small footsteps running down the stairs. Sometimes he thought he heard Emma's voice in the dark, calling, "Daddy, he's here." And sometimes, when the moon was right, he thought he saw a small shadow standing beside his bed, holding a teddy bear. The neighbors said he never left the house after that. They said he talked to someone who wasn't there. They said the whispers never really stopped. But if you stand outside the old house on Hollow Creek Road and listen close, you can still hear the faint sound of a bell ringing from somewhere deep inside, beneath the surface. The lake was still when they arrived, a mirror of glass that hid nothing and revealed everything. Daniel and Elise thought the move would be a new beginning, a place to heal. After years in the city's chaos, the quiet seemed like mercy. The house sat low on the bank, surrounded by reeds and whispering pines, its windows facing the vast, unblinking water. But at night, Daniel dreamed. He heard splashing, frantic, desperate, then children's voices, rising and vanishing beneath the surface. Every dream ended the same way, a pair of small hands reaching out before the lake swallowed them whole. He'd wake gasping for air, his heart hammering as if he'd been the one drowning. Elise would hold him, whispering that they were only dreams. "It's the stress, Daniel. You've been through enough." But her voice trembled when she said it. Days bled into weeks. Daniel noticed the way Elise avoided the lake, how her eyes darted toward it but never lingered. She'd sit by the window sometimes, watching the ripples form without wind, the way the water seemed to breathe. When he asked her what she saw, she said, "Nothing worth remembering." One afternoon, Daniel found her standing knee-deep in the water, still as stone, her dress drifting like smoke around her legs. She didn't seem to hear him until he called her name, Elise. She turned, startled, as if woken from a trance. "I thought I saw something, a toy or a shoe." There was nothing there, only the shifting reflection of clouds. That night the dreams returned, more vivid. He saw a house much like theirs, but older, its windows cracked and walls warped from water damage. Children laughed somewhere in the distance, and then the laughter turned to screams. When he looked down, he saw Elise standing beside him, her hair plastered to her face, her mouth open but silent. He woke to find her sitting at the foot of the bed, her nightgown soaked through. "Elise, you're wet," he whispered. "I went outside," she said, her voice hollow. "I thought I heard them again." "Who?" She didn't answer. She just stared toward the window where the lake shimmered in the moonlight, calm and unbothered, as if mocking them both. Daniel began to search the house for clues. In the cellar, beneath a loose floorboard, he found a wooden box sealed with rusted nails. Inside were photographs. Elise as a young woman, smiling beside a man he didn't recognize. 2 children stood in front of them, a boy and a girl, their eyes the same pale gray as the lake. On the back of one photo was written in trembling ink, "Will always be with you." When he confronted her, Elise broke down. "It was years ago," she said, trembling. "The storm came faster than we thought. I tried to save them, Daniel. I swear I did." Her words fell like stones in his chest. "You had children." Her tears came harder. "They were mine. Ours." Daniel felt the room tilt. "Elise, what are you saying?" She looked up, eyes wide, desperate. "You don't remember, do you?" That night, Daniel returned to the lake. The water seemed alive, whispering, sighing, pulling at the reeds. He waded in, waist deep, the cold biting into his skin. "Elise," he called, "tell me the truth." But she didn't answer. He dove beneath the surface and saw them. Two small shapes drifting in the dark, eyes open, reaching for him. When he surfaced, Elise stood on the shore, watching. "They were yours, too," she said quietly. "You were driving. You promised you'd keep them safe." Daniel froze. Images flooded his mind. The rain, the car spinning out, the water rushing in, the screaming, his hands clawing at the window as Elise pounded from the outside, helpless. He had locked the doors. In that instant, the lake began to churn, furious, alive. The wind howled through the pines, and Elise screamed his name. But Daniel didn't move. He whispered, "Now I remember," and the lake pulled him under. When morning came, Elise stood by the water's edge, the surface once again smooth and glassy. The sun rose like an accusation over the trees. She whispered into the silence, "He's with them now." For a moment, she thought she saw 3 figures just beneath the surface, 2 small, 1 tall, moving slowly away. Then the ripples closed, and the lake became still once more.